Hello and welcome to a special live Van Buren County update on the COVID-19 pandemic. We are practicing social distancing as much as possibly can here in our little studio. We have Mayor Greg Wilson from Van Buren County and Mr. Will Maxwell here, who is the Public Safety Director for Van Buren County. Welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for coming down and answering a few questions. We've got a lot to talk about since Governor Lee spoke yesterday. A lot of things have changed. So let's start with the hot topic of the week. Phased reopenings for businesses was announced yesterday by Governor Lee. What is that going to look like for Van Buren County?
I met last week via telephone conference with 9 of our businesses and had more scheduled for this week. They are ready to reopen, of course, but they are also ready to reopen cautiously. And I was proud to hear that from them. And we talked about many different aspects of it. And over the last week or two, couple of weeks, we've had conversations with the governor's office on how that reopening may look, and we'll call it a soft reopening. Well, the businesses are ready to do that, and they're ready to, if it's a restaurant, they're looking at, losing 50% of possibly of their seating capacity and that type of thing. But I think they are ready to. I think everybody is ready to, but we got to still be cautious on how we do that and how we approach it and abide by those rules that's going to be set down by the governor.
So that may take the shape of letting fewer people in restaurants to spread people out. Will, you may know a little bit more about this as far as businesses go, especially factories and things like that, special precautions for workers, or the temperature taking and things like that. I know some plants in Warren County are doing things like that.
Yes, I think some of the places are doing temperature checks as they're letting the employees in. I know that's been put into place in all of our agencies within the county as far as EMS and 911. We're doing that, and also at the administrative building, checking temperatures, and of course encouraging anybody that's has any symptoms not to report for work.
Okay, good to know. So Governor Lee's website mentions working with 6 major metro areas on the reopening, and he named those areas your Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga's, places like that. Which just made me wonder, are smaller areas getting the support and maybe the guidance that you need from the state?
We look for that to reach us, so to speak. We got an email yesterday prior to his conference. Didn't lay out a lot as far as guidelines go. I think it's something that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, and fully expect that from his committee that he's appointed for those reopenings. So we're hoping to get more information in time to come. And one thing too is we were talking about reopenings. Falkry Falls State Park and of course Rock Island here in Warren County will be reopening this weekend to limited areas. Are going to be limited access, such as trails. They'll have certain trails open and things of that nature. And then I'm sure later on down the road they'll reopen the campings at some time. But I just want everybody to know camping's not open yet, and that order for the parks expires Friday, so they'll reopen that, and there will be certain changes with that. But as far as the guidance that we get, we've had a lot of conversations with the governor and the governor's office, so we're hoping that we get more as far as written details on the step or phase 1, 2, and 3 that was put out by the president last week, and I think that's what most people or most governors probably will be looking at.
Good. And we will remind our audience that it is going to be done in phases. It's not going to be just a wide rush of people that are allowed to shop, get their nails done, things like that. It's going to be a phased approach. We've got to keep that in mind. And there may be restrictions that we're kind of not used to as far as limitations on how many people can be on a trail, boating restrictions, fishing restrictions, just things that we're not used to. But that's going to phase out probably with time, we hope.
Right.
So let's also talk about just updates that have gone on since the last time we talked. Luckily, you guys were one of the last counties to actually even have a case of the virus. Let's talk about how many cases you have and what can you tell us about that?
Well, and I'll let Will answer the biggest part of that. Right now, we just still have the one that we know of. Testing, we had the mass testing, and I'm gonna let him talk to you about that because he was deeply involved in the traffic flow and everything for that.
Okay.
This past Saturday.
Will?
Okay, this past Saturday we had a mass testing put on in partnership with the National Guard and the Department of Health and also our local emergency services. We tested 165 people at our testing site. That was conducted from 1 to 4:34, I believe, and there was a line the whole time. They tested all day. It was a great turnout, and as far as we know right now, about half or 2/3 of the tests are back, and we don't have any more cases in our county at this point. We appreciate everybody's response and patience with our testing site. There was some traffic, you had to wait in line, some people up to an hour or maybe a little more. And appreciate everybody's patience and following the rules in that aspect.
So the person that has contracted the virus, has there been any discovery maybe of where it came from or where he or she got exposure to it?
They were an employee of Bledsoe
Okay.
Correctional Complex. There, we have about 147 employees that work at the prison, and there will be other contract employees as well that are from Van Buren County, and that person was one of those, and so more than likely that's where they contracted it, and I think it was come out yesterday that there was 150 inmates at Bledsoe that has COVID-19 coronavirus. How many of those are asymptomatic or sick or anything of that nature, I don't know. But that's a big issue, and it's a big concern for the state and the Department of Corrections. And but that's more than likely where that person got it.
Yeah, when you're exposed to that many people in that confined quarters, it's bound to happen at some point, regardless of all. I'm sure they're taking tons of precautions themselves.
I'm sure they, I think, are requiring masks. I'm just talking to some of the employees that work there. And I hope they are, and I'm sure they are. But it's a worry for us in our county. And they tested all the employees there a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And there was, I can't remember, 10 maybe that come back positive of the employees, but now we've got 150, so that means that the rest of the employees that 2 weeks ago that were negative, they need to probably take a good look at testing them again, retesting, yes, because that's bringing it back to our community, and of course we don't want that. As you said, we were one of the last. There's only 2 counties out there right now currently that doesn't have cases, unless that changes today. And we have the one, and we were hoping we would escape it. Wasn't that lucky, but we're luckier than a lot of others. And when you look at it and you do the math, in a sense, when you got 1.2 million people in Davidson County, us having 1 case is like them having 200.
That's
so
true.
When you look at our population, so that when you look at that would affect them 200. 1 case affects us like 200 in Davidson County. So even though we only have that 1 case, it's a big effect.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, when you take the percentages and things like that, it's important to
and my
weigh
math teacher
that
would be, Miss June Simmons would be very proud of me today. So.
Well, good. We'll give a shout out to her. So let's talk about safety measures that we're going to need to continue to follow.
And, I'm going to talk about some face masks with the Mennonite community, but I'm going to let Will talk about that, being the public safety director.
Okay.
Safety measures to be followed, I will mention, we were talking about, one thing that came to mind for me, we're talking about the park opening back up. Please, everybody, use caution when you're in these areas, on these trails. If you do have an emergency, there is no social distancing when we have to come and rescue you or extricate you from a remote area. There's no way you can protect ourselves or perform social distancing in one of these extrication scenarios. Keep that in mind. I'm not sure what they're limiting trail access. They had closed down some of the more technical trails early on, and I'm not sure if those will still be closed. But keep that in mind when you're out there, guys. It's very difficult for us to come out and protect ourselves if we have to rescue.
That's something to keep in mind. You know, we're worried about social distancing and the virus, but just if you put yourself in harm's way in any instance through hiking a tough trail or something like that, then the rescue workers who could potentially have to come get you are going to be exposed to you.
And it takes us about 30 to 40 people, 30 to 50 people probably to perform
Wow.
extrication of that magnitude.
Okay. And let's talk about face masks and things like that are going, you know, what are the guidelines, I guess, on those things?
Okay, some of the businesses are requiring their employees to wear face masks. I was in Walmart this morning. I believe all their employees are requiring them to wear face masks. As far as I know, we don't have anything in the county that's requiring face masks, but it is recommended by the CDC to wear a face mask anytime you're in public.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I think we've got to wait and see from the governor's office on some of his guidelines for that. And like Will said, it's recommended. We've in our Mennonite community, we have a large Mennonite community in our Piney district area community, and they have made about a little over 2,000 masks. We've given away 1,600 homemade masks to our residents in the county. We've taken those to the businesses, and that's one of the things that we encourage them. You know, your people, they encounter people not just from Van Buren County. And you know, Highway 111, 4-lane goes right through our county. We have a lot of traffic, out-of-state traffic, people that we don't know, and so we encourage them to do that, as Will said. And the I know there's been some talk about, you know, waiters and waitresses, servers to wear a mask during that time, and that was one of the things I talked to them about if they had a problem with. They have no problem with doing that at all. But, you know, our Mennonite community has been very good. Also, our 4-H extension has made masks. So when you look at that and what they've made, we've had about 2,500. We're going to do another mask giveaway. I was going to do it Friday, but it's supposed to rain again, so we may do it late Friday afternoon in 3 different other locations throughout the county. And anybody who wants one, I know Will and Brian has several masks. They can contact them anytime, or my office, and they can get anybody can get a mask.
So they could call the county building and see when the next distribution's going to be, or if they need one before then. You guys have some you can arrange to take to those.
Right.
So, Will, we talked about testing. Sounds like you had a very successful mass testing earlier in the week. Will those continue as maybe, hopefully more cases won't develop, but that could possibly be done again?
Yes. We don't have anything scheduled this time. We haven't been notified of anything. There is a possibility that it could come back around in a couple of weeks to our area. There are some testing sites in other counties coming this Saturday. I know Bledsoe County will be having one of those mobile drive-through testing sites, and that'll be Saturday, and I'm assuming the time frame will be the same in their county as well as others.
Okay, that's good to know.
And one thing to mention about that too, our health department, you can go there 1 to 3 Monday through Friday. Just give them a call, let them know that you're coming. Used to, in the past, you had to have symptoms, and they told me, I think it was yesterday, that come, if you want a test, you can get a test.
Right. Okay. So your health department is testing. I will mention probably if you feel symptoms on the weekends, you would need to call the local ER, which may be White County, Warren County, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do go to the health department for a test, just make sure you do call ahead and don't go inside. They do request that you stay in your vehicle, and they come out to you.
Mm-hmm. very different now.
It is.
Lots of doctors are doing telemedicine. I have a telemedicine, my first one ever, coming up Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. But this may be a wave of the future. We've been trying to get telemedicine going along, and this may bring it to fruition for us, I believe, and it can be a good thing for elderly people. Anything else that we need to address and let the residents of Van Buren County know?
You know, again, and I mentioned this a lot on Facebook Live, be patient and vigilant. This is going to pass. I wish I could say it's going to pass next week, but we don't know when it's going to pass. There are many things that, you know, this is one of those things that it doesn't change in days. It changes in hours. So it's just be patient, be vigilant, and I'm sure Will has some safety things he might want to talk about.
Well, and I was going to mention, I'm sure the school system's going to be posting information about potential graduation and prom dates coming up.
I think they are making some contingency plans. I did hear a few things, I'm not sure on the dates, but I think they have made some contingency plans. They do have a website, and you can check that for.
Yeah, lots of high school kids wondering about how their senior year is going to end right now, and we want to make it as normal as possible for them. This has been a lot for our entire population to digest, but that age group is feeling it right now. And I want to thank you both for coming and talking to us today, getting all this great information out to Van Buren County residents. And thank you for joining us today on this live update on Van Buren County. We hope you have found the information very useful, and we hope you have a very safe and happy week. Thank you. You got it?